Hello, welcome back to the Inwit. I think I'm just going to be flying solo forever now. Here to talk about Australian Survivor Blood vs. Water. This is great. This is exciting. I'm pretty excited and pretty wrapped about the first 3 episodes. I'm going to try and keep this brief, only because I've just spent the last hour and a half chatting Survivor. After last season, I've joined Reality Pop. So I'm part of the hosting team there doing Survivor Australia and Survivor South Africa. So if you want to see more of me, I'm chatting with a couple of people. My co-host Riley from the Survivor channel Snuffed. We get a couple of guests in. Today we just talked with Peridium. So if you are wanting to check that out, go and head over to Survivor Reality Pop, or just Reality Pop, and watch Survivor Worldwide. We stream that live. Pretty much the next day after the episodes have aired. So that's kind of cool. That's exciting. Anyway, I'll continue doing this. I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. And in saying that, let's get into it. So we've had a really strong start, in my opinion, for these 3 episodes. We have some great cast members already that we're seeing, but we're also not seeing quite a few because it is Australian Survivor and there is a lot of people. So a lot of people miss the airtime. But obviously I'm a big fan of Sandra. So Sandra and Nina coming in, unfortunately they come in straight away by a helicopter. So if you already have one of the biggest threats in the game across Survivor history coming to play, and she arrives via helicopter, just, even though with our cast we've got quite a few people who are, especially with Blood vs. Water, having the relatives of people who might be fans, Sandra has a chance here. Sandra has a chance to potentially blend in, which she no longer has anymore. Even in Winners at War, she doesn't have that. So you let her fly in on a helicopter. It's just like, if she has to go into damage control from her arrival by trying to decrease her threat meter. And I mean, to her credit, she does an amazing job to take away a lot of that threat, to integrate really well with the tribe. She's now probably sitting in a place where a lot of the people wanted to stay, but some of them do want her to go because they perceive that threat of Sandra winning twice. But a lot of people seem to want her to stay, and that's a credit to her social game. She's done very, very well. She's stepped back. She's being Sandra, but she's doing it in the way that she's being invisible. She's making sure everyone else does everything, makes the decisions. She's not vocalizing. She's competing in challenges, which is very unlike Sandra. So she's doing a really, really awesome job. Then you flip over to the Water Tribe, and Nina is doing an exceptional job. Being the daughter of the Queen will come with a bit of heat, but never playing Survivor before, she's just like everyone else who hasn't played Survivor before. So she's apart from having the best teacher of the game that you could probably ever ask for, she's doing amazing. She comes in and we see that straight from the get-go. We have our superfan returning Andy, who, I didn't rate Andy's game in his first outing. The only thing I will give credit for in his gameplay is his just ability to do very, very, very well in anything Survivor related, like Survivor Challenge related, throwing the beanbag on a ledge, or all those weird little things that are like almost carnival games that come into Survivor. He's amazing at those. But strategically, he, for a super fan, falls very short. And we see this straight away when he comes into the tribe, being a returnee, being a super fan. Maybe that gets to his head. Maybe that ego of how good he is. Maybe he feels like, I'm going to teach these people. I don't know what it is, but he goes in and does a huge Survivor error. Survivor 101, we know we don't want to be the leader. Unless you naturally kind of fall into that leader role. He's kind of actively put himself in the leadership role. Never a great place to be. And not really coming with, the only reason he's put himself in the leadership role is he's played before. I mean, you've got Mark, who even said it himself. He's like, he was a survival expert, basically. He's spent months and months out in the deserts and doing combat training and surviving off however he could. I'm sure he can make fire in seconds. I'm sure he could build a shelter. I'm sure he could do any of this stuff, but he doesn't. Andy decides to do it. Andy decides to do it because he can. Not that he's an expert, just because he's done it before. And that's a really big error right off the top from Andy. And in the end, it follows on. He controls, he tells people what he wants them to do. Move this here, we need this, we do all this sort of stuff. And that is a complete misread of how he should have probably played the game. He should have sat back and let it organically happen. If someone organically becomes the leader, you kind of have more shot of not being in trouble. But if you make yourself the leader, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, because people don't like to be told what to do. And then you follow that on. We have an Alex having a bit of a, sorry if I'm speeding all through this. We have Alex who bends over and does his back, and now he can barely walk. Sure, that becomes the easy vote. But, I mean, it's not like he's once his muscles relax, he's good. He'll be a little bit tender, but in 10 days' time, he'll be fine. So this easy vote element becomes Andy's linchpin. This is what we're doing. We can't use him. We need to win challenges. He cost us. We were a man down. The other team had to lose a person too. They lost a player. Yes, they chose their player, but the teams were still even. You weren't down in numbers. But he then starts to demand, everyone, we need to get rid of this. It's an easy vote. Don't even think about it. We got to get rid of him. Again, rubbing people the wrong way. So he's become the leader and also dictated the vote. Two really crucial things that you never want to do, especially on day 1, 2, 3. So he does that and then lets it go. We've got an easy vote, we don't have to think. Unfortunately, the easy vote is where the most breathing room can happen to make a move. So we get that. We get Nina. Brilliant. For someone who should have a target on her back, is an Australian, all this sort of stuff. She comes in and has that little conversation with Mark. It's like, oh, what are you thinking? And Mark goes, I don't really like being told what to do by Andy. Bang. Yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't we get rid of Andy? So she's playing flawlessly at the moment. For someone who has a lot going against her, she's playing so well, where she does this little move, she doesn't make it her, she doesn't tell, I think we should get rid of Andy. She doesn't do any of that. She reads the room. She sees what other people want to do, and other people have similar interests. Because generally, if you are feeling something towards someone else, chances are someone else within that tribe, more than one person within that tribe, might also be feeling that as well. So if you can trust the fact that maybe someone else feels the same way I feel, and if I can make it sound like their idea, great. And so while Andy thinks everything's sorted, the plan goes on without him. And I guess much like why I never rated Andy the first time, he's the first boot this time around, because he lacks that social awareness. He's not, and for a superfan and a returnee player making these rookie mistakes, I mean, what are you going to do? This all goes on, and he gets voted out in this lovely bit of play, and then coupled by the fact that Mark says that one little thing, whatever he says at the end of Tribal, saying you did really well there, to Nina and whoever the other player was, removing the heat that Mark might have got for that, putting the heat on Nina and whoever the other player was, throwing them under the bus subtly around everybody else, going, I didn't have anything to do with it, this was your idea. So we've got, from that tribe, you've got Nina playing really well, and Mark as this returnee player who's really, for someone who should stand out, playing a great game right now. And that's our first vote of episode 1. That kind of seemed quite easy in the grand scheme of what Andy did to himself. The next episode, I mean, we get a lot of water stuff because they get the 2 tribals, Blood gets 1 tribal. So next episode we have the, I think I'm just going to talk about the tribals at the moment. We've got Bree. Oh no, we do have that idol with Chrissy, Bree and Shay. So that gets found, and that comes out of the tribal council, which apparently could only be used that day. So I was a bit confused as to why they would run for that idol. But here you've got Chrissy, who's never played the game before, understands what an idol does, keeps you safe, doesn't understand the targets that an idol will put on your back as well. And you've got this Shay, who a bit more, Shay and Bree's a bit, as we see, Bree's a bit erratic and a bit intense. And so this all happens, and Shay misses the idol. Bree doesn't block Chrissy. Chrissy gets the idol. Chrissy plays the idol. No votes are on Chrissy. Never needed it to begin with. Probably didn't need to do any of that to begin with anyway. Like, if it was me, I'm not going for that idol. If I can only use that tribal, I'm hoping I don't need an immunity idol on day one. But that all played out really weird, and unfortunately, for someone like Bree ends up being on the bad end of that. She comes out pretty heavy on Chrissy in that tribal. She's throwing a lot of punches, unjust punches as well. You don't need, like, when things don't need to, but also means she was out of the boat. She did not know the Andy switch. She thought it was all against Chrissy. So if everyone was on her team, what she was saying was not really going to matter, because Chrissy probably would have gone home anyway, even though she found the idol and she wouldn't have gone home, like, yada, yada, yada. You end up coming out so bold. Shay sits back, as Shay does. Bree keeps going on the offensive, tries to apologize for the big mistake at Tribal last night, ends up being on the end of the votes, tries to find the idol, can't find the idol, but her close mate, Shay, seems to find it, and now assumes that Shay will play it for her. But in the meanwhile, Shay does a great job at reading. Right now, Bree is not a good ally for me. Bree is weighing me down, and she kind of lets Bree go. Listens to a bit of Khan, who's also playing a very good game. Khan's doing really well. He is our snake, and I love the fact that by being the snake, he also has the snake tattoo. Unfortunately, I think for Khan's playing too well out in the open. We can see it. He's going to come. His threat is raising, and I don't think, while that's raising, I don't think he makes merge. I don't think there's a reason for him to make merge, because whereas a Mark and a Nina are sitting back, Khan's too aggressively in your face, even though what he's doing is really, really good. Khan tells Shay not to play it. Shay doesn't play it. Bree keeps digging her hole. Bree goes home. Pretty easy. Sure, Bree sees it coming, was hopeful she would have got the idol, but it should never have got that way. She came in guns blazing and too aggressive. And it's not to not play a strong game. She just didn't play a smart game. And that really, the scramble, the paranoia, the panic, all that sort of stuff, maybe people didn't understand her well enough. Her dad says she's a bit strong and at times and can rub people the wrong way. And in turn, we see where she gets that from the very next episode. The next episode, we have the fallout from Bree going home is now Dave is a bit pissed off, and Dave now goes on the offensive. They win the reward challenge. Another brilliant thing here by Sandra is she sits back. She doesn't say anything when they're going to send someone on to go get to the shop. And then when someone throws Sandra's name out there, she actively says, yeah, sure, I'll go. Doesn't hesitate. You've told me to go, I'll go, because you told me to. She doesn't offer herself, but when someone says, sure, we'll send Sandra, she's ready to go. And then what she also does, it's really brilliant for me, is when they go, actually, maybe we should send Dave because he lost his daughter last night. She doesn't say, she just sits back again. She blends back in, blend, go into the walls, go into the shadows. Sandra's doing really, really well at decreasing her threat. Here, Dave does the exact opposite. Someone who had zero threat now starts to increase his threat, starts to burn his threat out the roof, goes over, plays with this emotional style again. You don't want to play with emotion. Plays the emotion, sends his hand grenade of Khan back in because he didn't give them anything. Doesn't work, doesn't do anything. Comes back, lies about the idol, that there was a bit of soap. Sandra doesn't buy it. Pretty sure other people don't buy it as well, who actually have knowledge of the game. Some people who don't know the game probably buy it. And then we have the threat rising and Sandra getting told from her close contacts, the alpha males. I think it was Croc. I might have come over and said, it might not have been Croc, it might have been Ben. But one of them come over and said, Sandra, Dave's throwing your name out. Wants to get rid of you. For someone who doesn't know the game, had his daughter get voted out, he's gone exactly what Brianna's done. He started to here I am, and we see exactly why Brianna's voted out, is why Dave probably should have gone home last night. However, saved with an idol that could have become a super idol, but luckily it didn't. Super idols, we never really do very well in game. They're a broken mechanic, unfortunately. But it's irrelevant now because he's used his idol. But why did he decide he had to go on this revenge war path, take out Sandra? Look, Sandra's not lucky, she's done really well to build up enough of a social capital that people don't want her to go. And that comes out, she says, well, we got to get rid of Dave. He's telling people what to do, and she doesn't she makes people realize they don't like being told what to do. She says, well, we better go for him. But everyone else is agreeing because of that same thing. He's telling us what to do, much like what Andy did. And in that case, Sandra gets a bit lucky here, because Sandra doesn't do enough. She doesn't do enough to get her out of this hole. The plan is to get Andy, but now doesn't realize that there are a Sam who doesn't want, not Andy, Dave, doesn't realize there's Sam who doesn't want Dave to go. So the plan goes back to Sandra. So her name is still on the chopping block, and how Sandra wants to do it. And look, Sandra could have caused a lot more chaos. That would have got her voted out. So she kind of plays it as cool. Like she takes a risk here. And in doing so, she gets lucky from the paranoia that's followed Bree's exit into Dave. Dave's paranoia undoes him here. And we have that weird moment where Sam, trying to play the right tribal council move and trying to be subtle, talking about multiple plans, panics Dave. Dave doesn't have trust, goes into a tailspin, screws everything up for himself. His biggest ally, he's now burnt. She gets emotional, and now we've got two people playing through their emotions. We've got Dave who's playing through emotions, Sam who's playing through emotions. Now Sandra sits back. Unfortunately for Kate, who was always the spare, Kate was always the collateral, remains the collateral. She wasn't part of the plan, which is funny that both Andy and Kate are 1 and 2. Both first fruits of their tribe. She stays the collateral, but Sandra gets to flip back and sit back and not worry, because the heat from Sam was the one that was going to try and save Dave to get rid of Sandra. So the instigator that was going to get rid of Sandra is now against her ally. We're 9 days in. If you can't trust anyone 9 days in, and alliances are broken pretty quickly if they need to be, and this is one of those cases. So Sam gets a little bit offended that I busted my balls all afternoon to save your ass, and now you throw me under the bus by starting to say that I'm the social butterfly. You're making me out to sound like I'm working both sides, where I'm trying to save your ass. So Sam flips the vote. Strangely enough, doesn't split with a Sandra, splits still with Kate. So maybe she splits with Kate. Maybe she still splits with Kate because Kate was always the one to go, and there are quite a few people that do want Sandra. So while there's still quite a few people that do want Sandra, she was trying to blindside them. Now without Dave, a blindside or taking out Sandra will get everyone else off her side. So maybe it's a smart move to take on Kate. However, what we do get is that rise of probably the downfall of Sam's first time round. That emotional aspect to her game, which is hard. It's hard to play. Sandra's very good at turning her emotions into an aggression. But when you play with that emotion, we've seen Bree gone. We see Dave probably should have gone. I think Sam has put some warning bells out there because of that little way she handled Dave in that moment. Anyway, Dave plays his idol. He's saved. And Kate goes home. What happens next week? Dave's in a really bad position. I don't know if Dave can get out of this position. He has to hope for his team to go on an immunity run. But it's so they don't see tribal, or he has to hope for some other conflict to happen, which could easily happen. But for him to get out of it, as far as his own game, I don't think he can get out of it just yet. He needs a bit more time to pass. But if Red go to come tribal, high chance it's him. I can't see him going. I mean, it could be a Sam. I don't think it would be Sam just yet. It could be someone it could be someone we haven't seen yet. They might just be they might be the collateral next time for a plan that is unable to be processed in this moment. If Blue go to tribal, look, if Blue go to tribal, I really think Khan might, I think Khan's got still a little bit left in him, but I don't think Khan can get to merge. So maybe Khan might be next to go on that tribe, or it might be another one who doesn't really have an impact, another one who hasn't had a confessional, a Mel, or maybe even an Alex, who knows. But yeah, it's a great start to the season. I'm going to get better at these, I promise. Maybe I shouldn't do these episodes straight after the other episode. But if you are really interested, please check out Reality Pop. We talked about it for an hour and a bit. So we broke that down pretty comprehensively over there. If you are wanting for a more deep dive, please check it out. Next week we do stream that live, so you can jump on board and chat to us. I don't know the time yet, but today was 10 a.m. Australian time that we started the stream. Might be something on Thursday, might be something similar next week. And we got Dirty Harry is our guest. So, I mean, as much as I love my little channel, all 7 of you that watch my show, feel free to head on over to Reality Pop if you want. I still will be doing this. Reality Pop don't have me breaking down the American Survivor. So I feel like I'm just going to keep doing this show. I just might give myself a break next week from going from one straight into the other. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Please tell me what you thought of the season so far. First 3 episodes, I thought it was a good, strong start for a probably really good season. Favorite characters so far is obviously a Sandra, a Nina, a Mark, and my God, do I enjoy a Chrissy. She is so funny. I love the fact that she has and you know what? With Chrissy, we've got the difference between Andrew from last season, who had never seen the show, and Chrissy from this season, who had never seen the show. Night and day. Night and day. Andrew, boring television. Chrissy, what a joy to watch. She's going to go pretty far. I reckon her social game is strong, and she's going to learn Survivor as she goes along, and she may make a big move here and there. I think she would hopefully try to make a big move before things get serious, so she can make a mistake and learn from it. But she is a joy to watch. But and hopefully she can go pretty far. But I would say my 2 picks for winning so far would be Nina and Mark. Don't mind them. Shay's still doing pretty well. We've seen a lot more of the Water Tribe than the Blood Tribe at the moment. But God, if Sandra can make merge, I'm a happy man. If Sandra can win, what a joy that would be. Anyway, feel free to comment and say hi down below. I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I will see you next week on the Inwits channel or Reality Pop. Catch you guys.